Race 2 is about to get underway here for the Mazda SuperCup, and the drivers are about to get ready in the car. So very quickly, I just want to catch you at Aidan Hills, who I was chatting to this morning. Now, Aidan, I was chatting to you this morning. You were saying that you're quite laid back coming into these races. How do you do that?
Yeah, I just like to stay chilled. You know, we're all here to have fun, so we're racing. It's better than being at work at the end of the day. So there's no point getting too uptight about. Obviously, I get nervous when I'm in the car and stuff, but yeah, I'm just here to have fun. And anything else, you know, being on the podium's a bonus, and winning a race is even better.
Thanks, Lyndsay. Well, the grid for this one then, based on yesterday's results, so it's Harding and Hills row 1, with Herbert and Fletcher on the second row together. Fletcher's best result of the season, that 4th place. Steve Roberts and Will Stevenson are on row 3, with Jack Sycamore and Gary Townsend on the 4th row. Then David Henderson and Nick Rutter, Bradley Kent and George Grant, with Ray Worley and Chris Richardson at the back of the grid. So the championship margin comes down slightly, just 6 points now between Herbert and Harding, with Hills a further 6 back now in 3rd position. The red lights are on, away we go, and Aidan Hills looking to try and get his 4th victory, I should say, of the season. Didn't get a great start though, as Steve Roberts is up the inside of him, and Luke Herbert, look at that, he's got most of his car in front of Jack Harding into the first corner, but Harding is really late on the brakes, gets to Clervaux in 1st position still. Ooh, runs a bit wide, but there's no way through on the inside for Herbert, so it's Harding leads the way. Herbert 2nd, Roberts is 3rd, Hills is 4th, so Aidan Hills did not get the best of starts there, and it's always tricky starting on the outside line. But Hills did not get off the line as well as he would have liked, and ends up dropping down 2 positions in the end. So Herbert already into 2nd, and now back to the position in which he was in for most of the first half of yesterday's race, attacking Jack Harding for the lead. Goes to the outside at Tower, knowing he's not under too much pressure just now, but Harding is always going to show him the edge of the road, and he does so, and Herbert ends up on the grass as Steve Roberts gets alongside him. Steve Roberts going for 2nd place and will surely go through, so Steve Roberts gets himself ahead of Luke Herbert, and Aidan Hills is there as well. Aidan Hills forces his way alongside through the Jim Clark S's, and the championship leader finds himself off the road going towards Barcroft, finally gets a gap back in line in 4th place, and then throws it back up the inside of Aidan Hills to try and retake 3rd position. This is really, really physical stuff on the opening lap, and Herbert manages to hold on somehow to 3rd place, but that was fantastic stuff. They all know that once the race settles down into a rhythm, it is so difficult to make progress. You cannot afford, therefore, to give way on the opening lap, where that is by far and away the best opportunity you will get to overtake people, and Luke Herbert was not letting that chance go begging. As soon as he lost the place to Aidan Hills, he snapped straight back up the inside and moved back into 3rd position. So the order then, at the end of a very feisty opening lap of racing, is Harding leading the way, Roberts 2nd, then Herbert and Hills 3rd and 4th. Fletcher then is in 5th position as they streak across the start-finish line. And Aidan Hills will not be particularly happy about the way this first lap has worked out. At least he's right on the tail of his big rival, who is really throwing that car around, but Herbert probably thought that he was safe to go around the outside at Tower on that first lap, knowing that no one was right on his tail, but then when Harding just eased him out over the grass on the exit of the corner, he lost all of his momentum, and before he knew it, what was a 2 or 3 car advantage over Aidan Hills, or over Steve Roberts as it was at the time, disappeared, and Roberts was able to go through and make it stick. So it's Roberts then that now sets off after Jack Harding, if he can, down to the Jim Clark S's for the 2nd time of asking. Slightly overcast conditions this morning, that's better for the cars really. The engines will run a little more efficiently, the tyres won't be punished quite as much on what is a surprisingly high-speed circuit. Herbert looking to the inside of Roberts, fires it into Sonny on the traditional racing line. I spoke to Steve Roberts this morning, he reckons that that is the part of the circuit that he is quickest at, through the Sunny in and out complex, and he showed it there really. He was much later on the brakes than the cars around him, carrying good speed through the turn and actually pulled back away from Luke Herbert onto the tail of Jack Harding slightly. Hills now briefly there in 4th position, heading through the complex and back into the hairpin. Herbert defends the inside, careful not to run too wide over the grass on the exit, but they all keep it nice and clean. There's Patrick Fletcher in 5th. So he's just starting now to become a bit detached from the leading quartet. Jack Sycamore looks to be in 6th position, I reckon. So Jack Sycamore looking to try and go one better than he went yesterday, where he finished 7th in race 1. The position that he is in the championship, actually. Steve Roberts still 4th in the points, but Patrick Fletcher and Jack Sycamore have now both moved ahead of Will Stacey, because Will Stacey's not racing here this weekend. So Fletcher, in his debut season, is into the top 5 of the championship, which is not bad going at all. And he's running in 5th position in this race as well. Back with Herbert there as we go down the hill into Tower. Steve Roberts in front of us, watching his mirrors, watching out in front of him, so too Luke Herbert. We heard Luke saying after race 1 that being second place is by far the hardest place to be, because you're attacking, you're defending, you know that every move you make is going to be put under intense scrutiny by the cars around you. But for now, the Rob Boston racing car of Steve Roberts keeping Luke Herbert behind him. Out of Sunny, back with Aidan Hills now, who has a grandstand view of what's going on in front of him, and Steve Roberts is really intent on getting the lead away, but he might have left a gap for Herbert, but Herbert's tried that move a few times. He tried it yesterday a few times on Harding and wasn't really able to. He's not quite forceful enough. He does not want to risk contact and a penalty. He's always thinking about the long game, and a disqualification will ruin your championship challenge. So Herbert knows he has to be careful here, but Hills is alongside him now. Look, and gets his nose in front. In fact, gets his whole car in front into Clairvaux, and Aidan Hills simply drives past Luke Herbert. That is very, very rare indeed. Just got a better exit from the hairpin, and then he picked up the toe from Harding and Roberts in front. Herbert, though, trying to fight back, gets to the inside of the chicane. There's a rub going into the chicane. That was risky. And very lucky there to avoid either car going off, but Herbert, again, as soon as the contact was made, backed out of it, realised that wasn't sensible. And in the end, no damage done, really. So Hills into third. Now, as things stand at the moment, Harding would score 100 points, and Herbert would score 94 points. That's a 6-point swing in Harding's favour, and it is a 6-point deficit that he has in the championship to Luke Herbert. However, Herbert has already set the fastest lap, back on the second lap of the race. So Luke Herbert right now scores the points essentially for third, which is 96 points. So he would only lose 4 to Harding, and therefore it would be a 2-point championship advantage that Herbert would take into the final race of the day and the halfway point of the season. But things are likely to change, I think, before the end of this race, because they're still continuing to harry each other. Steve Roberts wants this first victory of the year if he can get it, but Jack Harding is a master of defensive driving, and Aidan Hills goes up the inside of him. Aidan Hills for second position gets up the inside of Steve Roberts, pushes him over onto the grass, and Herbert will come through as well. That was forceful stuff from Hills, but it wasn't really the ideal situation because it's allowed Herbert through on his tail as well, and Herbert's almost pushing him down the pit straight now as he tries to get second place away. So, new order, Harding still leads, but it's Hills second and Herbert third. The 3 H's again at the front of the field, with Roberts demoted to 4th and 5th position, Patrick Fletcher getting ever closer to them as well. Aidan Hills saw the gap, and as we saw in race 1 yesterday, he's not afraid to break super late. If he sees an opening, he's going to go for it. And Herbert now was able to follow him through as well, so now is Hills going to have to keep on defending this second place from Herbert, or is he going to be able to maybe go after the race leader? Well, it looks like it's going to be the former, because Herbert is alongside. He's always got 2 wheels on the grass, but he's coming, he's forcing his way around the outside into the Jim Clark S's. The next corner goes right, they touch in between the 2 corners. That is one of the fastest parts of the circuit, and they're leaning on each other again as they go down towards Barcroft, and Steve Roberts sees a chance to get up the inside, but Hills is desperately late on the brakes. Roberts is still there though. Oh, they somehow avoid contact, and Hills, I think, will hang on to 3rd position. But, well, Luke Herbert is carving his way through here, remorselessly just finding the gaps and going with it, and that was a really good exit from Tower that did that, and then we know he's good through the Jim Clark S's. We saw that in race 1, and in the end, with a couple of bits of contact, Aidan Hills, I think, made the sensible choice to back out of it before he ended up off in the weeds completely. Look what he's doing, is allowing Harding to pull away slightly. Herbert in the dirt coming off the hairpin as well. That won't help his traction onto the pit straight. Hills already has to move over to defend from Steve Roberts and Patrick Fletcher, who are right with him. Roberts pulls to the outside now into the first corner. Hills should have that one covered. Clobbers the curbs. They wince at the thought of what the suspension and the tyres are going through when they hit that curb through Clairvaux. And then to an extent through Hawthorne as well. Look at them using the dirt to try and almost ditch hooking, aren't they? Trying to hook the inside wheels off the road to drag the car around the corner. Bit of a rallying technique there. Aidan Hills then down to 3rd position now. What can he do about the cars in front? What can he do about the cars behind? Jack Sycamore and Will Stevenson, by the way, are continuing their battle. Will Stevenson, of course, outside of the top 10 in points now because of that disqualification he had back at Snetterton in race 2. Driving standards issue. So he is some way down the points, but Stevenson getting quicker as the year goes on, definitely. So too Patrick Fletcher there, just up the road from them, and Jack Sycamore, in fact, he's probably the most improved driver on the grid in 2019. Hills over the grass, running the risk there of exceeding track limits and getting a penalty for it. He needs to be careful with this because track limits penalties could yet come back to bite some of these drivers. We're seeing some drivers being warned, and Aidan Hills is one of them. Patrick Fletcher is another, and Will Stevenson. They're all being warned for exceeding track limits. Now, we're not even halfway through this race yet. That's early to be being shown a warning flag. So if they can see the warning board going out, the black and white warning flag, the 10-second penalty is not being shown to the drivers yet, but it will be if they keep on exceeding track limits. So Aidan Hill's one of those drivers being warned. If he goes wide again, he will receive at least a 5-second time penalty. He runs wide a bit there through Clervaux. That could really change things around as well. It certainly takes a bit of the pressure off Luke Herbert. We heard at Alton Park that Aidan and Luke were both saying that they knew that when Aidan got shown a black and white warning flag in one of the races when he was miles out in front, race 1 I believe it was at Alton Park, and it plays on your mind, and Aidan said yeah it did, and that's how he ended up losing the lead to Herbert and eventually spinning off the road completely and finishing 5th in that race. He'll be hoping that the same thing doesn't happen here. He can't really afford to lose any more places, but Steve Roberts was almost pushing him as they went towards the Jim Clark S's this time. At roughly half race distance now in this second race of the weekend, round number 11 of this championship. 24 races in the year, of course. You drop your worst scores though, so you don't count all 24 rounds, but the more consistent you are, of course, the more points you have to drop, which is what Luke Herbert is facing now. Steve Roberts, a big dive at the inside of Aidan Hills there into the complex, no way through. The second part of the complex, and then into the final hairpin again, where Roberts once more just takes an early apex edge, trying to distract Aidan Hills more than anything else. He's never really going to come through from that far back, but at least not without contact. But if he shows the nose, Aidan might think that he's going to make a move and leave the door open. That's the thought process anyway. Steve Roberts, not what's happening at the moment though. Sycamore and Stevenson still weaving around there as they go down the pit straight. Stevenson to the outside. He's tried this move a few times, it's not worked, and nothing changes on this lap either, unfortunately. So Sycamore fends him off. And then you can see Jack keeping a really tight line through the first part of Hawthorn so as to prevent the switchback manoeuvre from being doable there for Stevenson. Look at him, he's actually pushing him there out of the chicane, literally bump drafting their way down the back straight to Tower. There's Gary Townsend in the background, by the way. He's leading the Masters contingent again in this race, as he has done in most races this year, in fairness. Nick Rutter has had a couple of Masters wins, Simon Baldwin earlier on in the year as well, but generally speaking it's been Townsend in control of the Masters Championship this year. But Jack Sycamore very much not in control of this position because Will Stevenson tried to go around the outside, and it's that Jim Clark S's sweep again. You go around the outside of the first part, you get the inside for the second part, and then lever your way through Barcroft. That is what Stevenson's been able to do. Nice one there for Will Stevenson. He now does gain that position that Jack Sycamore had been defending so well throughout the first half of the race. Quite some way ahead of Townsend, aren't they? There is Townsend in the background with David Henderson, I think that was right behind him. Leaders then come through the complex yet again, running out of laps now slightly. We're into the final half of the race, as I said, and Stevenson runs a bit wide out of the hairpin, and Jack Sycamore almost has the chance to get back alongside. Doesn't quite have the traction off the corner, but he will pick up the toe down the pit straight, and so these two are not likely to leave each other alone now, I don't think, for the remainder of the race. Sycamore now involved in this pretty close battle for 5th place in the points now, but with he and Patrick Fletcher, they came into the weekend 16 points apart in Fletcher's favour, and of course Fletcher did manage to take another 6 points out of Sycamore in the previous race, and Sycamore's on the grass now through the chicane, and that's certainly done him no good. And unfortunately he sees that gap go out significantly now, so that takes some of the pressure away from Will Stevenson. Have to see now through the rest of the race whether or not Sycamore can catch him back up again. Now, Aidan Hills has definitely been caught by Steve Roberts here, and Luke Herbert has caught Jack Harding as well. So 2 now, 2 pairs of cars, 2 for the lead, 2 for third. And it's these 2 that possibly are of the most significance because they are the top 2 in the championship. But yet again, Herbert is running second with the 2 bonus points for fastest lap. So how much is he prepared to risk here to try and get the lead away from Harding? The answer is probably not too much. But if there is a clear opportunity to get through, then Herbert will go for it. He's trying the outside at the hairpin. Not to go right around the outside, but again to try and focus on the exit speed and pull alongside down the straight. He's now also waving at Hills, I think, as they come through, asking him to work with him. That's... well, I don't know whether that will happen. Certainly it wasn't in the previous race, was it? Because Aidan Hills made that brilliant move on Luke Herbert at about this part of the race when Herbert was solely focusing on attacking for the lead. All of a sudden Aidan Hills appeared out of nowhere and went through. Well, Hills is a sort of similar margin back now at this stage of the race as he was yesterday, and Herbert is now definitely starting to apply the pressure now to Jack Harding, who's having to defend a bit more busily into Tower. But with the wide line in, looking for the better exit again. Can he get up the inside? Oh, he's trying, but no. Harding gets over to the right-hand side of the road, fends him off. Brilliant shots here from on board with the reigning champions car. Car number 1 in P number 2, though, as it turns through the Jim Clark S. It gets a bit squirrely there. Harding, again, not quite as quick as Herbert through this part of the track, as we saw yesterday, but now Hills is right with them as well. And Herbert was not making the same mistake again, was he? He stuck resolutely to the inside line. So too did Hills, though. That means he runs wide through the middle part of Sunny and almost opens the door for Steve Roberts on the exit, but Steve still can't do it, and now Patrick Fletcher starts to get closer as well. So 5 cars for the lead again before too much longer. And the more cars that get involved with this queue, the harder it becomes for those in the middle of it to actually make any progress, because there are more cars on your tail ready to take advantage if you make a mistake. So the pressure goes up and up and up, and eventually you get to a stalemate situation where you dare to poke your nose out of line for fear of losing 2 or 3 positions. Again, they stay as they were, out of the hairpin, onto another lap, into the final third of the race. Another warning flag going out there for somebody. Not sure, was that a warning flag or was that actually a 5-second penalty, I wonder, for somebody. We'll try and get notification of that in a moment if we can. Aidan Hills, 3rd position, was definitely one of those drivers being warned. So too Patrick Fletcher. Patrick Fletcher at the moment running not far behind them. So Hills then in the tow. What can he do? What can he do about Luke Herbert? He has to do something about Luke Herbert, you feel, because that 12-point margin is not coming down. It doesn't seem to matter what Aidan Hills does. He can't seem to take points out of Herbert when it really matters, even when he gets in front of him. It seems that Herbert's able to pluck that fastest lap, or a couple of fastest lap points away and undo the damage. So Hills is really forced to go for this here in a way, because we are now starting to get into the business end of the season. 12 points doesn't sound like a lot, but we made the point before that with only 2 points difference between each position on the track, it's hard to undo a 12-point deficit, because that is 6 positions on the track. And with these 3 so consistently at the front of the field, the most you can hope to do is maybe take 4 points out of another driver per race, and that won't happen in every race. So it's becoming really difficult now for any of these championship contenders to really sort of close the gap to the car in front of them. As things stand now, it would remain at a 6-point advantage for Luke Herbert going into the final race of the weekend then. Across the line they go again. Into Clervaux Corner. And we're hearing that Aidan Hills is being given a 5-second track limits penalty. The man we are on board with then, running 3rd place at the moment, but Aidan Hills being given a 5-second penalty, and that will take him out of this battle for the race lead. So we said that he was being warned for that a little while ago, and that was quite early in the race. Well, he's now been handed a 5-second penalty. So Aidan Hills right now will drop down to 5th position, and that is a disaster for his championship hopes. And there's not really, given how close this leading quintet of cars is, there's not much hope of him being able to undo that either. Even if he could get into the lead, then he would probably struggle to pull away to the tune of even half a second, let alone a full 5 seconds. So Aidan Hills looks almost certain to drop off the podium. which is not what he needs at all after a solid start to the weekend yesterday with second place behind Jack Harding and ahead of Luke Herbert. He's now finding himself staring down the barrel of maybe a 5th place finish. He may not be aware of this yet because given just how intense this battling has been, he may not have had a chance to look at the pit boards, but that was what that latest board was saying. So 5-second penalty for Hills. Will anyone else join him, I wonder? There are a couple of others being investigated, remember, as the leaders come through onto what may be the final lap of the race, I think, this time. Back on board with Hills then, 3rd position. Yes, the last lap board is being shown, so one more lap of the Croft circuit, the 2.1 mile Croft circuit. And Jack Harding fending them all off for the time being as they turn into Clairvaux and Hawthorne. No one has yet been able to win more than one race in a weekend, by the way. At Snetterton and Alton Park, Hills, Harding and Herbert won a race apiece, and then at Anglesey, Hills and Harding won, with James Blake Baldwin making a welcome return and winning the first race. Well, Luke Herbert is going to try and prevent Jack Harding from becoming the first double winner this year. He's looking to the outside at Tower. He's good through this next sequence, but this is where late in the day in race 1, he went for a move that didn't work and it cost him second place to Aidan Hills. Now, he may also not be aware of the penalty going to Aidan Hills, so he may feel that it's not really worth the risk here, but he goes to the outside of Harding anyway, tried to cut back to the inside into the sunny complex, and Harding goes to the outside line. Hills goes to the outside line. He's sideways though, he's on the grass. Aidan Hills, oh, he's thrown it all away anyway now, and he will rejoin back on the road. Well, he was going to finish 5th position anyway, so I suppose he thought it was worth going for it, but well, that was a real banzai move around the outside, and that time it did not work, but full credit for trying there for Aidan Hills. It hasn't really cost him anything in the grand scheme of things with that penalty, but it has cost him any chance of being able to gain any more positions on the road. It doesn't look though as though Luke Herbert's going to be able to gain anything more out of this either, because they come out of the final corner, and for the 4th time this year, it is Jack Harding who wins in the MX-5 SuperCup, and he is the first double winner of the season so far. 2 wins from 2 here at Croft. Can he make it 3 from 3 in race 3? Harding wins, Herbert 2nd, Roberts 3rd, Fletcher is 4th with Aidan Hills 5th and Will Stevenson 6th, but all 3 of them in the end got a 5-second tyre penalty. Then it's Gary Townsend, David Henderson, Nick Rutter and Bradley Kent, with Ray Worley, George Grant and Chris Richardson outside the top 10. Jack Sycamore, sadly, a non-finisher.
Jack, huge congratulations. 2 wins out of 2 so far. You're going to make it a 3rd one for later on this afternoon?
We'll give it our best, but reverse grid could start 6th, 7th or 8th, so got a bit of fighting through too. I know it's easy to defend around here because I've just been doing it for 2 races, but yeah, no, we'll give it our best, see what happens, but that race was pretty good.
Luke, that was absolutely incredible to watch, but can you give it from your point of view?
1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, 3rd, 2nd. Yeah, it was just a typical Mazda SuperCup race. I got Jack off the line, but not quite enough. Then I was 2nd. Then I was 3rd. Then I was trying to attack, trying to defend, trying to attack. But then eventually I managed to get back to 2nd, break Aidan and Steve, get the fastest lap. So I know Jack got 100 points for 1st, but I got 100 points for 2nd and fastest lap. So all my 2nds I always seem to get fastest lap. So it feels like a win to me. Obviously it's not an outright win, which would be nicer because I've only had 2 this year, but we're still leading the championship by 8 or 10 points on drops. So I couldn't ask for more. And with the reverse grid, I get a chance to be ahead of Jack for once. So yeah.
Steve, huge congratulations. You kept us on our toes the whole time, but I want to know what happened after you went past Tower in that last lap.
So I was, to be honest, when I got shuffled back from 2nd, because I was battling with Jack for the lead, and I got shuffled back because Aid at the hairpin, I was, to be honest, going to take 4th place for the better starting position for the last race, and but it just all opened in front of me because everybody was trying to go for the lead all in one point, and went into sunny in, sunny out. I've been strong there all weekend. I just managed to nip 3rd place.